I greet you with the joy of Jesus in my heart, for it is in him that I live, breathe, move, and have my very being. I am delighted that you joined Unboxed on Purpose today, a podcast created for Favored by the Father Ministries. I am Barbara Arlene Fields Brehon, your host. Our featured guests share how they stepped outside of comfort zones, maybe dark places in life, or simply made a pivot towards purpose to become unboxed. We will share experiences that lead to the fulfillment of God gifted purpose. So I pray that each episode will help our audience to access their authentic destiny. Today, we have on the show a man who has a wonderful journey. He shares words and wisdom that continue to impact lives across generations. We welcome Roy Lee Jarmon to the stage. Hi, Roy.
Hello. I'm trying to turn off this. I'm trying to do it on.
Thank you so much for joining us today. As you meet Roy Lee Jarmon, better known as Simon, your poetry man, understand that he was born the second of 11 children to Minnie Bell Armstrong and George Jarmon Sr. Roy's roots stretch from Greenville, Mississippi to his current home in Piscataway, New Jersey. Roy is an author, poet, and speaker whose voice resonates in churches, schools, and veteran communities nationwide. But his story goes deeper than that, shaped by what he calls my Damascus experience. Just like Saul on the Damascus Road, Roy encountered a divine moment that shifted his life's direction and ignited a passion for purpose driven poetry and ministry. Whether he's sharing spoken word or sharing his heart, Roy invites us into reflection, healing, and truth. So settle in like he's trying to do right now. And this is going to be a soul stirring conversation with Simon, your poetry man. Hello again, Roy Lee Jarmon. Thanks for being here.
You're right. I'm trying to get settled here. Unfortunately,
As you try to get settled, just go ahead and tell our audience as you move about and do what you have to do. We could talk this thing through. Tell our audience how we met.
yeah, we met through an author. I mean, a publisher. Excuse me. Running up and down those stairs kind of got me a bit. Anyway, we met through Robert Williams, who is a publisher with Quill. I was able to republish my first book. Excuse me. Portrait by Simon, Volume 1, Family Foundation. So,
Thank you so much. We'll give you a chance to get your breath there. We know that Poetry by Simon is your book, and you have indeed published with Quill. And Robert Williams is the person that we have in common that we know because he's been very good with promoting our work here at Favored by the Father Ministries. He's published one of my books, and he's very often giving me an opportunity to do book signings in various places. And so that's a wonderful thing about the connection we have. We're going to journey on back in your life at this point and get you to tell us about the younger days of Roy Lee Jarmon. Tell us about your passions in life back in the day when you were a child or a teenager. What seemed to be the passions that you had that spill into who you have become today?
yeah, I'm a product of Mississippi. And during those days, it was just as far as I knew, just the life of a child that's raised on different farms and plantations and so forth. But my parents had a lot of kids, so I had what they call, I call him my godfather. He lived in, I guess you would call it the city limits. And oftentimes, I would live with him at least up until the second grade, and during all the holidays and so forth, the holidays and when school was out. But I kind of realize now when I look back on it, I've had the experience of two lives, being an only child per se when I was living with them, and then being a part of this big, huge family of a lot of brothers and sisters. And I noticed that in my, I guess, experience of each area, it sort of gives you a different perspective in life. I knew that I was, I knew that I was kind of different. I was a sponge. I like to read and didn't have, I was. Let me put it this way. I recall my older brother and I. We were sitting down and we were looking through this Sears catalog,
Uh,
and we were talking about what we was gonna get for Christmas and so forth and so on. And we came across these two guns with the holster and stuff. We thought, yeah, that's what we're gonna get. So we're gonna get this, and we're gonna play cowboys and Indians and so forth. And so when I left them and I went back home with my godfather, I told him what we was gonna get for Christmas and so forth, and he bought me the guns and so forth, the paper cap pistols, and I went out there on Christmas Day to visit them and so forth, and had my guns on my side and walked up to Junior, my older brother. I said, "Hey man, go get your guns. Let's go play cowboys and Indians." And he looked at me very strange and didn't say anything. I said, "Go get your guns, man. Go get your guns." And through that experience, Junior did not have guns. They couldn't afford to purchase them. And I felt so bad. I felt so hurt. And I don't know if it was shame that I was, pushing this on him or not. But anyhow, when I did leave to go back to stay with my godparents, I left the guns there so he could have them, not realizing that they didn't have the same opportunities that I had with my godparents and so forth.
right.
But anyhow,
You say that back in that day, those days, you had a passion for reading.
yeah, I remember. I think I was about 4 years old, and Christmas. Excuse me, my Christmas presents. They had these things. They had fruit and they had toys and so forth. And I had in there an ABC book. A is for apple,
Yes.
B is for this and so forth. And man, that was the best thing. I don't even remember what all the other ones were. But I got my book and I just read, got my book. And I just read that book over and over and over. That was I don't know, that book was just something, of mine. And I just love books ever since.
That
Oh,
sounds absolutely wonderful because you're talking to a retired reading teacher.
oh me, oh my.
So, when you said something about the reading, I wanted to have you to say a little bit more about that so that I could expose that part of myself to you. So
Oh.
let's just go ahead and dump some more of your puzzle pieces out because we're featuring you today. when we're talking about your identity and how God has woven together this person called Roy Lee Jarmon, tell us what you perceive your ultimate purpose to be and what specific things you want to share about stepping outside of a box to pursue your purpose.
Oh, wow. Life is a journey, not
It
just a
is.
destination. And I mean, I've gone through so many different journeys that it seems that, you have so many different experiences in life. And I guess the reason I call this my Damascus experience is because, like you said about Saul, he went from being the prosecutor of killer of Christians unto one of the people who have written so many books about to the positivity and the life and things of Christianity. And not that I was so, I guess, murderous per se, but I looked at myself, I listened to people because of my reading and experience and etc. People, I kind of thought of myself as my knowledge as being who I am, who I'm supposed to be. And in back in the early 20s, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, I was working with AT&T, and T, and I had this experience that I just lost all activity in my brain. My knowledge just kind of started going away. I couldn't think. I was confused. There were a lot of things happening in my life. Death on my wife's side, on my side of the family, and it was just so much confusion and stuff until I just kind of just went somewhere. And in my mind, I kind of one of the hardest things for me to do was to say, "Help me," 'cause I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who could help me, and so finally I went to the VA, Veteran Administration,
Yeah.
and they diagnosed me with PTSD because I had all of this Vietnam stuff still in my brains, in my head, in my mind. Even though, like in one of my poems, I say the soldier may leave the battlefield, but the battlefield never leaves the soldier. And all of that was boggling my mind. And I got to the point where I could not even read. I couldn't comprehend what I was reading. I had paper in front of me, and I just couldn't. I had my comprehension was gone, my mind was gone. And eventually, on the way back to recovery, I went through a lot of counseling, a lot of prayer, and I had this Bible. We had this big white leather Bible with golden letters on the table,
Mm-hmm.
and it was open always to the 23rd Psalms. I don't know why, but even when I go in and read something in it, but it was there for show when I look back
Wow.
on it. And I guess about 2 years into my counseling, I went into my room and I looked at the Bible and I looked down at it and I said, "The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He restores my..." And I understood that. I said, "Wait, I understood what I was reading."
Yes.
And that was a simple breakthrough in my mind. I said, "Wait a minute. I think I'm coming back. I'm learning something. I'm beginning to be me again."
Yes.
Yeah. And eventually, you know, I still sometimes, if I go too far, too deep, a whole lot of stuff comes at me all at once. It overwhelms me. And but one of the things that was bothering me was that I was so ashamed because I was my mind is who I am. My knowledge, that's what's going to get me over. That's going to be
Wow, God changed
me.
that though.
And God said, no.
Right.
He said, you're not going to be able to do those mathematical problems and computations and stuff in your head anymore. What I'm going to give you is not going to come from your head. It's going to come from your heart,
Wow.
the heart that I gave you. And he said, you write these books, but these going to just be the platform to bring people to me and to perform my purpose. And once I finally started writing, I realized that when I did my first, I talked about my first book at one of the VAs, and I saw how so many people were hurting, so many people had problems, so many of the veterans cried on my shoulder, and I
Yes.
cried with them.
Tell
And
us a little bit about your first book.
the first book is called Family Foundations. And the reason I did that is because I was thinking about my father and how my parents molded me and how he taught me to, if you don't have that family foundation, everything else is nothing else works. So my first poem is in there about it's called "Daddy Don't Allow Us to Sing No Blues," and the next poem is that all we could afford is talking about how we were able to survive in that environment through the chicken pox, the whoop and call, cardboard window panes, rats playing in the loft, those types of things. And so I dedicated that book to my parents, my father and my mother, and naturally uh, the foundation is the reason I wrote that book. And a lot of those poems, it talks about a lot of other different things about everyday life, about love and relationships. And it talks about some of the way uh, and a person may feel when they encounter certain situations.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Is there particular work that you do with veterans?
actually, I am a lifetime member of the VFW, which is Veteran of Foreign Wars, where we go about, excuse me, helping homeless veterans, just going about doing whatever we can for veterans in the community. I'm also a lifetime member of the DAV, which is Disabled American Veterans,
Mm-hmm.
which we do some of the same things. We work with here in New Jersey. We work with Lions VA Hospital, where we go by and we talk to the people that's there in the hospital, and we provide services to them, clothing, uh, different items that they may need, and
Yeah.
sometimes we have like a little rock and roll session or whatever, to get everybody to come out and try to get them to participate because one of the things about us veterans is that we tend to ostracize ourselves in a lot of ways
Wow.
from, I would guess you would say, the normal public, because sometimes we find that we don't always, we can't always gel with what they're saying, and they don't always see us realize the things that some of us has gone through.
I think that what you're sharing is very vital for people who have never been in any of the armed services like myself, and the perspectives that you can share are very, very helpful. And so, if you tell us a little bit more, perhaps in terms of advice that you can give to others in having more meaningful relationships with persons who are veterans who may be suffering with PTS?
Yes. PTSD, it actually, each person has their own experiences.
Of course, but
And
how is it that people can relate in an everyday way when they don't know what it's like to have been in war?
well, one thing that I can tell them is that, first of all, you have to have some type of empathy, some type of, and which leads to patience and to have a attempt to understand. Go to the person and ask them if you see them acting in a certain way. Oftentimes, we see. Oftentimes, what we see is that he was he didn't know what he was doing, or he was not on his meds and things of that situation where it hurt somebody. But
Wow.
then there's others of us who just walks around every day just by themselves, don't want to go out because the people don't. It seems like oftentimes when you're in a conversation, the first thing they ask me when they found out that I was a veteran, they said, "Oh, were you on the front line?
Wow.
I want to know, did you kill anybody?" And I'm saying,
Ooh.
"Wait a minute. I mean, how many people you shoot and all that kind of stuff?" And that's not what we want to hear. We don't want to. That's the stuff we're trying to get away from. That's the stuff that's always up there that we don't want up there.
Yeah.
And but so you have to just say, well, I, I don't know how to tell one to react, but just to be mindful and listen and just try to be human, you know. And I think that's what I try to do. I can understand it when young kids, when I'm talking at school, they ask those questions. I say, well, look, that's not what we want to really concentrate on.
Mm-hmm.
And then I try to talk to them about the civics of the country and the government of the country and how this nation should work and how this nation should help other people bring up everybody and so forth. That's what I would, I try to veer my talks on to the kids and so forth.
Are there other particular topics that you share with various audiences? You see, you talk with children. Are there other groups of people that you talk with?
Well, I basically talk to mainly church groups, um, and schools, churches, and have like venues at the library, my book signing at Barnes and Nobles and different places in that nature. And I
Hmm.
try to gear my talk to the audience for the most part, and I try to actually relate it to whatever's happening that day. Like each month may have different things.
I see.
And then in May, you may have Memorial Day and so forth. I may gear to that, Father's Day or Mother's Day. But I always try to bring in the fact that I consider myself, I try to bring things together and try to say that we are unified. We need each other. Each man need to be shoulder to shoulder with someone else. Not, like I say, if you're looking down on someone, only look down if you're reaching to pick him up.
Oh, yes.
So those are the type of messages I try to convey to people when I see them. And I try to do it sometimes in a humorous way, try to keep people laughing, you know, try to be mindful, joking, but they don't realize that actually that's beneficial to me.
Mm.
If I can get you to laugh and you smile or something, then that helps me because see, I'm an introvert at heart.
I see.
Yeah, so I can go out, I can be with you for a few hours, and I can help you, lift you up, talk you, try to do the best I can. But then my energy comes when I go back. be by myself with my
Mm-hmm.
thoughts and so forth. So that's where I get my energy from.
So tell me, what do you consider your favorite poem to share? You speak to different kinds of audiences. What's your favorite poem of those that you have written?
Oh, wow.
I know I didn't. You weren't expecting that question.
My favorite poem, uh, I, that's hard to say, but I think the first poem in my first book is, like I said, was to my father, and called "Daddy Don't Love the Sing No Blues." And then the second poem, then I also have a poem about my mother, about my aunt who did so wonderfully well, about my grandmother, about when she passed away, and I also have poetry poems to my wife, and how there's no me without you,
Yes.
and that, so, and how they influence me. And but one of the poems also is in my third book, volume 3, is called "Give Me My Oscar," and what that's based on is that how the whole world is a stage and everybody plays their part,
Hmm.
from the song and from Shakespeare and all those guys. Me as a person, that poem itself is from everyday life situations where people encounter certain things. But when you are suffering from the trauma of PTSD, it creates a different. It also adds a different veil over how you cope with that. And it talks about a person can't make their payments, can't pay their light bill, or how they may be angry, how they may handle that situation. So give me my Oscar, because I paid my dues.
Yeah.
Even though I smile once in a while, my heart is crushed and my soul is singing the blues. So can't you see? There's no better actor than me. So give me my Oscar and my Tony Award and my Grammy too. So that's the refrain, and it's so.
I love it. I
Yeah.
knew I was going to get you to talking enough that you share a piece of poetry with us, and you did that thing. Thank you so much. You are a family man, and so as I pose a concluding question for you, let's fast forward it to generations yet unborn. What wisdom would you pass on to the future generations that would prevent them from feeling stuck in a box or in a dark place in the first place?
Well, when I first realized the situation that I could no longer perform, just regular life to do this, and what was I going to do? I was ashamed. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. I was just lost. And I think back on what I was teaching my son. He used to hate me when it coming, especially he was a young kid, I guess maybe very young. I taught him when he would do something, I would say, "Come on, recite it to me." And he said, "It was once a job has begun, never leave it till it's done. Be that job, that task, big or small, do it well, but not at all." And then I would look at him and say, "That's what you did? Okay, Dad." So that was one of the ways that I just had him embedded that in him. It's another song, a poem that I like, just some of the words in it. It's different versions of it, but it says, it's called "Don't Quit." So if things go wrong, like they sometimes will, and all your life seems like it's going uphill, and life is just pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but don't you quit. That's just part of it.
As part of it. We want
Yeah,
them to get the book and read the rest, or
yeah,
maybe even invite you to share some time
yeah.
with their organization. And so, would you share information about how people can reach out directly to you with the audience? How can listeners connect with you?
Um, I have some things on. You can check me out on. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Blue Sky, and YouTube. They can also go to my website, which is simonscreationandnovelties.com. That's my company now, Simon's Creation Novelties LLC. But my website is simonscreationsandnovelties.com. If you go out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, you can just search for Roy Lee Jarmon. You can see some of my, it won't always be my poetry, but what's happening in my life. Also on LinkedIn, Blue Sky, and TikTok. You can look for Simon, your poetry man. Just look for Roy Jarman. You can find me there. So,
Thank you so much for sharing that. I am so grateful that you stopped by to spend some time with us, Simon, the
uh,
poetry man. Are
uh,
there any final words that you would like to share with the audience? You may do so at this time.
I just wanted to say the pleasure was all mine. I want to thank you very much for allowing me to uh, be on your podcast and to just tell my story about, just to let people know that uh, life sometimes it's not a straight line. Because anytime you see a straight line anywhere, especially if you look in the hospital, you don't want that straight line. That straight line means you're gone. So you're going to have some ups, you're going to have some downs. When you're down, just keep going, do the best you can, absorb what you can, because when the valley is where the rich soil is, that's when you learn things, that's where the stuff starts growing. And when you're up, lift, bring somebody else up with you. I'm hoping that I got an audio book that it's ready. I need to get it to the publisher. It's about some of my poems and stories that I want to do with my own voice. And I do have material for my next book. I'm hoping to get that to the publisher maybe before the year's out. And I put on have I caught a bug. Did a couple of commercials, and it sort of got into my heart there, and did some background work with some of the some stories that you never see me on there, but just the fact that I'm on the stage and so forth. And I've noticed that my thriving is not being out there per se. But on the stage, I can be there for a moment, you know, and try to hopefully lift people up for a bit, try to get them some excitement or encouragement and inspiration. And then I go back into my introvert uh, closet.
I do understand. Some people may not believe that I am an introverted heart as well. And so that
Oh,
part of what you are sharing does resonate with me. But this is not about me. And I do appreciate that you shared your story, pieces of your story with us today.
mm,
Perhaps you will join us again and share some of the things that you've mentioned that are upcoming. But
sure.
now we
So
must
this,
turn to our listening audience and ask them to join us for about 30 minutes for our next episode of Unboxed on Purpose with restorative and refreshing conversations that shape not only our future, but our right now. We can shift our mindset and make pivotal direction changes that will give us a Damascus Road experience. We do post our new episodes on Thursdays on the Favored by the Father Ministries YouTube channel, on our Facebook page, LinkedIn, and most other podcast platforms. We evolve like butterflies floating outside of a box, coming out and allowing the Holy Spirit to advance us to lofty levels in the Lord. And so we ask you to bloom wherever you're planted, grow in the grace and knowledge of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, grow as you remain favored by the Father. Thank you
Amen.
again for being here.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Be blessed.